Hey, Katerina here with Tori.
Hi.
My trusted 2.0, especially on the podcast. Salem is here as well.
Oh, she's looking.
Looking at the camera. Her brow is furrowed because she is a skeptic and she scowls at us all day. That is her way. She is not a great sleeper. She's coming up on 2 months old. She's still being very rude. So last night I did not get much in the ways of sleep. So I'm hurting a little bit today. So we've got some caffeine in the bloodstream. Tori's sick because of my older children.
Yep.
I think once you have kids and they start going to school or daycare, you realize that just means it's like runny noses.
Yep. For
All
the
the
whole
time.
household.
Uh-huh. You never know what fun germs you're gonna get. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So we are here for another episode of a Curated Life podcast. I'm sorry, you might hear the baby pooping or crying. I think she's working on pooping right now. So I had all this like intentions of recording podcasts when the baby was asleep.
Yeah, we dreamed that, didn't we?
Right. But sometimes she won't stay asleep.
The dogs aren't here snoring right now.
Actually, that is a
So
good
that
point.
is-
The dogs are not in here making rackets. So the baby noises will do just fine, I think. We want to talk a little bit about finding the right mentors and people to learn from and look up to. And what was the side note on that? You
Like
made a good
knowing your like strengths and weaknesses
Yes.
within that mentor of like what you're capable of doing and what
Mhm.
you're not, or what you could tweak from that person.
And I think like partnering with the right
Yes,
people in different
yes.
areas of your life.
People that compliment you.
It's very relevant for Tori and I because we complement each other really well. We work really well together. We spend all day, every day together.
Yes.
But
So
we're-
much time.
Like more waking hours get spent with Tori than with any other human. Maybe with Salem because I'm with her like 9 hours of the night, unfortunately.
Kat has started calling me, I think since last week, your life partner.
Yes.
And I was like, yep, we've made it.
Tori
We're life partners.
Is my life partner now. This is where we're at. She is my life partner until further notice. This is the reality. And we fit really well, but it's interesting because we're very different people.
Vastly, yeah.
Very different. And I think when I think about the mentors and people I've learned from, a lot of times I'm very different from those people also.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of times when you're trying to work with somebody or partner with somebody, whether it's business or personal, finding someone who's a balancing personality instead of a replica of you can be a very powerful thing.
For sure. Yeah.
Because when everybody has the same strengths, you're going to have missing pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll start like talking a little bit about my journey with mentors. When I think I got very lucky because I looked up to my parents a lot.
Uh-huh.
And my mom was a working mother. Now she worked a lot less when we were younger, and then like the older we got, the more and more she worked until she also was an owner of my dad's company. So, but she also has her own company which has franchises all over the US, and she's a very serious businesswoman. And my dad's always worked a ton. So I think from going into adulthood, I had these people to look up to who inspired me to do a lot and accomplish a lot. But it's tough when it's your family because there's a lot of like bias. They're very personally invested in your journey. So when I started having kids, honestly, I think if my mom could pick anything for me, she would have picked for me to just be a stay-at-home mom. And when I say just, I don't mean just as in like, oh, I'm just gonna cop out and do, like being a stay-at-home parent is the
It is a full-time
toughest
job, and I am learning that.
Tori's getting to see what it's like to be at home with kids, and it's the hardest. And I feel like I can say that because I am a working mother who spent time without childcare, with childcare.
You've done it.
Yeah,
You've
I've had a
all-
lot of different seasons through having kids. And I'm telling you, if you get to go sit in an office from 9 to 5, that is so much better. I mean, not bad. It's so much easier than being at home with your kids all day. I'm not saying it's more rewarding or it's a sweet or any of that. Like, these kids are delicious. But being at home with your kids all day, every day is exhausting and
doing
hard.
that while running a business.
Yeah, and now,
Yeah.
the work from home moms, that just shouldn't even exist. We should not be a thing because
It's too much.
it's ridiculous. So, but anyway, my mom spent a lot of time at home with us when we were kids, and she had her own business, but she was there with us in the home, and I think she would have wanted me to do more of that when I had kids. So it was a little hard transitioning into being a working mom and trying to figure out what that looked like for me. And my mentor at the time, Daniel Keaton, was one of the people who encouraged me to do both and do it the way that I wanted and not try and rely on any stereotypes or things that I had seen before. Like, think about what I actually wanted and do that. And I think Walter Cornett was another person who I had been networking in his organization since I got out of college. And he was another person that was like, don't try and fit you don't need to try and fit some mold that somebody else did. Do it your own way. And that was very powerful. I had Kyla, and I think a month and a half, 2 months after I had her, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start hitting it harder at work and leaving the house more, and I need to leave her. And I just couldn't. I was like, I hadn't even opened my pump. I was so not ready. And I called Daniel and I was like, I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I am not ready to quit working, but I'm not ready to leave this baby. And he was like, well, don't. And I was like, oh,
That's an option.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, that's legit. And that was really wonderful that he said that, because he was my team lead. So really, it behooved him to be like, suck it up and go back to work.
Right.
Everybody leaves their kids. But that was really fortunate that the people I worked with were supportive in that way and encouraged me. So with my first 2 babies, I took them with me to work for 6 months, and then started leaving them with a nanny. But I have always let it evolve in a way that felt comfortable to me. And sometimes you lose childcare and it's not comfortable and you don't have a choice. But it's been something that I've kind of learned, that make it your own. And that's because of people I've worked with and networked with and looked up to, who have encouraged me to do things my own way. And it's really benefited me. But I think my first job as a loan officer, I had the branch manager and the sales manager, and they mentored me in a work fashion. They held my hands while I figured out how to be a loan officer. But that was very much just business. I was 21 years old, yeah. And they were 35-year-old men, which now 35-year-old men are my people. But at the time, they were old, in quotes, which is just horrible to think about. It was older men. But they were great. But that was, obviously we only had so much of a personal relationship.
Right.
And I think it took me a long time to find my tribe of people. And then it was me and a bunch of 35-year-old men. And then going into real estate, Daniel Keaton's team had Rachel Porter, who was a working mom and ended up being someone who empowered me a lot as well to do things my own way and to not feel guilty or worry about judgment or guilt or stigmas from anybody else, and to do what felt right to me, and that it is okay to pursue a craft when you're a mother. And that was really powerful. So learning from her and learning from Daniel Keaton, he has 4 kids. Now he has an amazing wife at home. I would love to be married to an amazing wife like Tamara. That's never going to be my life, but so it's not, our roles are not the same, but he's very supportive of being involved in your family and prioritizing things as they should be. And then through trial and error, I've also had to learn that don't do it. Salem's looking at me like she wants to cry. Don't do it. Don't do it. But anyway, that's a little bit of my journey, but I did realize along the way that my mom was definitely a mentor for me, and she was a working mother, and she's one of the few people I know that kind of did both, because you don't get to see that
a lot, yeah,
very much. And I hope that for the future that will change. I hope that more careers will have opportunities to have your kids with you more, or have flex hours where you can be with your kids when they're awake and maybe put the work in when they're not, and that kind of thing, because it's really tough.
And I think the world's doing that through COVID. I think COVID has like changed that up too.
It's maybe taught and teaching employers that like not everything has to be so cookie cutter, hopefully. So,
but yeah, it'd be nice to see more of that.
Okay, we had to take a section out because the baby was screaming. We're good now.
But we're back. Just a pause. What I was saying was, like, for me, I am inspired a lot from the people around me, and I kind of take pieces of what, like, they do that I like, or that I look up to, or want to be more like, or stuff like that. Like, I take pieces of that from different people for different stages or different things in life, and kind of create that as who I want to be and what I want out of that. So mine, looks a little different than yours.
Yeah. And I would say that makes a good point, that a lot of times people are trying to give us advice and trying to give us direction, but if you really think about it, you don't want what they have.
Right.
So, like, they're trying to be helpful, but it's like they're giving you advice off of their own experience, and maybe you don't want to be where they ended up.
Right. Yeah, and take something that you like of theirs, or something that inspires you, or you wish that you could have, and apply that to, like, where you are now or where you want to be. Makes that easier to, like, understand what you're needing from them, or what you're inspired
for sure. Were there people that you looked up to when you were, like, in college or right out of college, or when you were trying to figure out what paths to take?
So I have, like, a lot of, like, somebody that I was really close to in 80 Pi. She's kind of somebody who followed the same path that I did, like, got into real estate, and she went a different way with it, and she still is somebody that I look up to, and, like, in a being successful
in a professional
sense, but not as, I don't want her job, or I don't want the path that she took with that, but we grew the same way, and she was always somebody that motivated me and inspired me, and I took that and put it into real estate, and she's doing sales with it, and new construction. So yeah, people like that, and, like, we were on the same page, you know, like, it wasn't somebody that was, like, older than me, or like, successful already. Like, it was somebody that I could compare myself to and learn from. Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, like, the 2 jobs in real estate that I've had, they've been really good mentors for me to learn, like, what I wanted out of it, and what my goals are now. And that was you and Nirvana. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you've evolved a lot just in the past few years of understanding the business better, and then understanding where your strengths are in the business, because you've been able to be in it and fit different roles in it. Like when you worked for Nirvana, a broker who is where Tori used to live, I think your role was very different there
Yes.
than it is here with me.
Mm-hmm.
And probably doing both was helpful in figuring out where you what you might enjoy more and what you might be good at.
For sure. And that's where we were kind of wanting to go with this, is like, you can have somebody that you look up to that is totally opposite of you, and like something that you inspire to be. And I like listened to this podcast that I like listened to. I really like her advice and take it. But she was saying, like, for the new year, it was like a New Year's resolution kind of podcast. And she was saying where you take, like, you pick somebody that you want to be or want to become, or that inspires you, or like as a mentor that you can learn from, and you become that person. Like, you dress like them, you try to think like them, like you do all the things that they did to get there. And like, I don't necessarily agree with that. Like, you can be your own person, but be inspired by them, or like,
you don't have to be
pieces,
a clone of somebody.
Take pieces of that and put it toward, like, work towards that.
Yeah. Well, I would say that I've hit points in my life, and even now, where I think there are working women in our brokerage, on our team, that sort of thing, that learn from me or might look at my journey and want elements of what I have, but I'm very honest about what my journey has looked like.
Right.
And explaining to people that it's okay to want pieces of what I have and pieces, and not want other pieces too, because we can look at somebody and like certain things that they have, but that doesn't mean that you want to have experienced everything that they experienced, or been through everything that they've been through, or that you want it exactly how they have it. You could take elements of it. And I think it is also important to have people in your life that understand that just because their journey doesn't look just like yours, it's not an insult to that person. Like, I don't find it offensive that Tori doesn't want to make babies right now.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely.
If anything, I fully expect my children to cure her of any sort of baby fever she would have had.
It's ruined.
They're very sweet, but I think Tori enjoys leaving them at the end of the day.
And there's people in it, like, there's other people that, like, their relationship is amazing, and like, I love what they do or how they make it work. And like, you take pieces of that and you're like, okay, like that's sweet that they do this, or that's something that like I hope to have in my relationship. And then like, you can take that into work. Like, it doesn't have to be just one person that you choose to look up to in all aspects of it.
Absolutely.
And like, that's for like my mom. Like, there's a lot that I've learned from her and took from her, and she is my hero. She always will be. She's amazing. She pretty much single mommed it, raising me her whole life. I don't look at her as like somebody I like want, or the career that she chose, or the career she's had multiple, but I don't look at her as somebody like I want to be in a work perspective, but somebody I want to be like as a person. And
I'd say her life has been hard.
Yes.
Like, really hard. Raising you on her own was hard. Like, she's had to do some really tough things, and she's had to like struggle and work really hard for decades. And I think you can take it and go, okay, I don't want to have the life that she had, because there were parts of that sucked.
Right.
But certain traits about her and perseverance that she took with that you can
and the
look
person that she is or became through that is somebody that inspires me, or that.
Salem. I feel like she's grumpier today, and I feel like it's because she slept so bad last night, which is really rude, because I would have preferred that we sleep.
Yeah.
It was her own choice.
She definitely is grumpier today, I think.
It's very rude. Salem. And I think especially when you know people really well, you can also take things that you're like, maybe they wish they had done differently, or that you see things in them that are shortcomings.
Right.
And like my parents are total workaholics.
Yeah.
And in an extreme, ridiculous way. And I have inherited that disease from them, but I think watching them and loving them and seeing the role that's played in their lives has helped me better curtail that in myself,
right.
and in check myself,
Mm-hmm.
because you see people that you love live a certain way and you go, I don't really love exactly how this is for them, so why would I choose that for me?
And I think that's another, like, off of that, the advice that I would give is, like, if you don't have a mentor or you're, like, wanting somebody to look up to, sometimes it's not, like, somebody, like a celebrity or, like, a salesperson that's got a bunch of followers on Instagram that you're, like, you are inspired by, or, like, a motivational book or any. Sometimes it can just be somebody that, like, you know really, really well, and that you can take part of what they're doing and, like, let that take you and inspire you.
Absolutely. I mean, I would say one of the agents on our team, Hannah, is an incredible woman, and she inspires me all the time. She's a working mother. Her husband is a pastor, which, like, that in itself is so much work. Just, like, anytime she talks about her duties there, and she's not ever saying it begrudgingly, but I'm like, wow, no, that is so much. But anyway, Hannah is this incredible mom, this incredible wife. She's an incredible realtor. She is so good and dedicated at her job, and she serves every single client as if it is like her mom. She just puts
like
herself,
we've said before, like, if we weren't going to use each other or use you, like,
then
we would
use
pick
Hannah.
her.
Right, like, if
we know
I
it'd be taken
wasn't
care of.
licensed, I'd be like, Hannah, handle this, because she would, like, lay herself on the railroad tracks for any client.
Yes.
It's incredible the kind of dedication she brings to her job, alongside being a really incredible mom and wife. And she only has, now her husband's a great partner, and so, like, obviously he takes care of his children like a parent should, but she only pays for 12 hours of childcare a week, and she has, which is an insanely small amount for the amount of work that she does. But she's somebody who has limitless business potential, but has been very intentional about, there are times that I am going to spend with my family, and she consistently hits good numbers in her business, because, like, her potential is limitless, but she also is going to make sure that she shows up for her family in a certain way, and I think is doing a great job of building her business in a way where it's like, this business exists to serve my family. My family doesn't exist to serve this
that
business.
is a different mindset than most people in this business.
Yeah.
Like, she chose this business to serve her family.
Absolutely. And sometimes
in a way for her to be a present
mother and wife.
Yeah.
And, like, give them opportunities financially and to give her purpose. But she's, like, giggling in her sleep. Is that funny that you're sleeping now instead of tonight? That is funny. But I would say that a lot of times too, when you start being really successful, when people start in this business and you realize that you're good at it, it is so hard for that dynamic not to flip around and your family starts serving your business, because you realize what you could do with it, and it just picks up and runs away with you. But she's somebody who, I don't want to be the wife of a pastor. I probably never want to get married again. And I I think later on, I mean, with this baby, I don't have any childcare. She's a newborn, but 12 hours a week is like nothing. But at the same time, I do want to remain with the perspective that the business is there to serve. Any business I have and I'm doing is there to serve my family, not the other way around. And I think there's been times where she's probably learned how to manage it that way from things that I have taught her, but she has shown and taught me the dedication to that mindset and the power behind being somebody who shows up for her clients in the biggest way possible, but first and foremost in her family.
And she has taught or inspired you to learn how to balance the two.
Yeah,
too.
for
And
sure. And make
keep
that
it steady.
choice
Yeah.
again and again. Because it is hard.
Because it is so hard for you to lose yourself in this kind of business, for sure.
Absolutely. And you do have to maintain control of it, or it will just like, you could, the thing with this business is you could work endless hours. There's no limit. As long as you want to work, the work is there.
Yeah.
So
for
you
sure.
can really take it too far. Oh, is that funny?
That's so cute.
That's cute. She does not giggle when she's awake, but apparently something in her sleep is very entertaining. Oh, this baby. And on that point too, finding people to work with that are a positive role. Like, she's on our team. Obviously, that's a very positive role. Ashley is on our team. She's one of my best friends. And the baby's snoring. Ashley's one of my best friends and was the first person to join me when I started my team. She had already come over and started working with me beforehand, and I started the team, and she was right there with it and has been like a great presence to bounce ideas off of and just work through the business with and figure it out along the way. And she's a great mentor to people and is so generous, like way too generous with her help and mentorship. But even that like has inspired me to come up with ideas and stuff for the team, and then also see where my role is, and that there are people whose natural tendencies tend to go a certain way. And I think Ashley has this incredible heart for mentorship. And while I do love mentoring people, there are limits to how much I can give out with that and what kind of mentorship that needs to look like depending on where I'm at in life. And I think seeing Ashley be a mentor is also an example of like, that's somebody who people should be learning from. And my role as a mentor would look different than her role as a mentor.
Yeah. She's got patience that like she can
It's
slow
incredible.
down. Yeah, it is. She can slow down and walk you through it and work you through it, and that's something that a lot like it's special to have.
It definitely is. And then Tori being here and being on the team is very exciting. Like, Tori being licensed was a vision that we had when she came to work for me, and now we're very much partnered in this business. And I think the beauty of our relationship is that it is complementary. She's not she's not another Katerina.
Not at all.
But Tori loves what we do and cares about the clients and the home search and the process, which is not something that everybody has. So you can't just hire anybody and them care that much.
Yeah. No, for sure.
And in the same token, if she wanted to fight with people as much as I did, then it still wouldn't be as good of a fit. Because really, I think when we partner together with clients, like Tori has single-handedly found the right house for somebody. And and been able to pick and like know that it was going to be right, because she's so passionate about the matchmaking process.
Yeah, that's my favorite part.
And
Can you tell?
that's like her thing. But then at the end of the day, somebody's got to write a contract and fight with another agent over what that deal is going to look like. And us, I think, being able to partner and caring about this industry and our clients on the same level, but our strengths being different, has made us be able to do way more. So it's been, I think, an asset to us to not be identical, and finding people in your life like that, professionally and personally. Like, I would think if you hire a nanny to come into your home, hire someone who's good at stuff that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Like, if you suck at cooking, hire somebody who's good at cooking and can meal prep. Now, obviously, easier said than done. I feel really fortunate that Tori was who I hired. Actually, you know, I did have an assistant before Tori, and that didn't go well. So I did not get it right on the first try. I got it really wrong, and then I got it right.
Yeah.
But I also had to force her to come to Richmond.
Yeah, that was fun.
It took me, I mean, what did it take, like a year?
And we didn't really know how well we would have fit. I mean, we knew each other.
But we didn't know, we weren't close before you started working here.
Yeah, no.
Like, we knew each other and we got along when we saw each other, but we didn't see each other that much. She didn't even live in Richmond. And I did chip away at her over, I just had like a gut feeling about it, and it felt like it was what needed to happen. And weirdly, even though I'm a business person, I like go off my intuition a lot.
Yeah, you do.
With people and houses. I just have a feeling about it. I just have a gut knowing. But with Tori, I had a gut feeling about it, and I knew that she was supposed to come to Richmond. I knew she was supposed to be in real estate here, and I just chipped away at her.
So I was like, okay, I'll do
she was
it.
like, fine, I'll try it. But
yeah, I actually started working for you. I didn't even live here. I didn't have a house picked out. Nothing.
No, she was still in Farmville.
I was like, I'm gonna make this huge thing, and I don't know how it's gonna play out. And that was like one of the first like huge risk in adulthood that I did. Like,
yeah,
I left my comfort zone, my comfort job that I had worked until, I was working there when I was in college. Like, it was just, I thought that was my path, and that's where I was supposed to be, and that's where I was. And it took me a while to move to Cat.
Yeah, I think I made you a job offer and you said no, and then like I kept chipping away at you for like a year.
Yeah, like 3 times where I was like,
it was like multiple job offers.
And I commuted for like a month before I found somewhere.
Yeah, well, Tori was having a hard time finding somewhere to live, and like having a hard time doing the search because she wasn't here. And I think I eventually was like, you just have to do it.
Yeah.
Like, you're not moving to Richmond first. You just have to start working here. And she did. She did. And you're right. I think that was a really big leap for you. And we were talking about it earlier, like the amount of confidence in yourself and like self-belief that you've grown over the past couple years has been really cool to watch.
Yeah.
Because you have made leaps.
Yeah. You've had to water it a little bit. But
I'm a pusher. I'm a pushy person. If you want to stay comfortable, you should stay far away from me.
Absolutely.
Because my comfort zone is pushing people outside of their comfort zone.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even doing this, like doing a podcast with her.
Tori said no the first couple times.
I was like, oh, absolutely
like,
not.
No, I'm not doing that. And I was like, oh, yes, you are. And she's great, by the way. I really enjoy sitting here and chatting on a podcast with Tori, and I've gotten a lot of positive feedback.
Yeah, that's sweet.
On
thank you.
Tori's contribution to the podcast, because I knew she would be good.
But somebody that takes you out of your comfort zone is what everybody needs, a person that does that or pushes you. And that can be, I mean, it doesn't have to be your boss or your spouse. Like, it can be a friend or a stranger. like you were saying, when you first had Kyla just a minute ago,
Yep.
and somebody came up and was like, this is what you need to do to help your baby sleep. Like, you can get inspiration from literally anywhere.
Yeah. Though that's a good point, is like being open to that, because I think we all kind of have an aversion to being pushed or being given information that we didn't
push
ask
is like
for.
a negative word. We
Yes.
associate it with a negative.
But it could be positive. And you're totally right. I was telling Tori earlier, Kyla, my first baby, wasn't sleeping, and she was like 10 months old, and I was in a Starbucks talking to one of my friends about how she still didn't sleep. And a lady, a random woman in the Starbucks was like, oh, mama, you need to sign up for Little Z's sleep course. And I was like, I don't want to do cry it out. No. She's like, it's not. You need it. Like, life-changing. Please go do it. She pushed me.
Like, being open to
And I was like,
that advice.
okay, here's a mom who's done this.
Right. And like, before that, you've read all the books. You've done the research. Like,
right. I needed
that one person telling you that.
I needed somebody being
and
like,
taking
I've
that advice
done this.
and using it.
It's not harmful, it's helpful. And then I did it that week. I think immediately I went and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And I think my friend's wife showed up after that, and I asked her, and she was like, oh yes, listen, girl, you got to get this under control. And within 2-3 days, Kyla was sleeping through the night. It was not super painful. And I think the first day she took like a real nap, and I was like, what is happening right now? I would have paid $10,000. There might not be a limit. I would have paid any amount of money
to give you advice on that.
I was like, this course is $200. Are you serious? This should be 20 grand. I would pay any amount of money to be able to sleep through the night. If there was something I could do to make this baby, I'm doing all the stuff for this baby. She's just a newborn. She's just mean. But you're right that I think we don't always need to cling to relationships or conversations that are super comfortable. And sometimes people are being really annoying, but sometimes they're sharing something or pushing you because they know something.
I mean,
that you
the
don't
advice
know.
that I was getting when I was trying to make the decision if I wanted to do this with you or stay where I was, like, that company was creating something for me to grow in. Like, I was getting a position and growing into a position that would have taken care of me, and I would have grown with that company. And like, everybody around me, you know, like my peers and all, they're like you're comfortable here, like you don't know that's such a huge risk, you don't know what that's gonna
you don't
look
live
like.
there yet.
You don't even live there yet, and like, you don't have a house there, like, you're just doing this. What if you fail? And you kind of have to like, and you were the only person that was like...
That's how pushy I am. I was the only one that was like, no, Tori,
and
you're coming to Richmond.
And just having that one person tell me something different than everybody else was, that believed in me and believed that it was going to work out and be okay. Like, sometimes you just need one person.
And I think my message to you is very much like, you're better than where you're at. And like, no offense to Farmville, it's an adorable community, but when you are a young woman with an education and potential, you don't necessarily need to be there if you're trying to grow a career, because there's only so many opportunities in a small town.
And it's crazy because it was always such a dream of mine, and especially like when I was in college and in high school, like I knew that I wasn't going to go back to my small town, and I knew that but I got stuck in the being comfortable and like being okay with where I was at in life, like just graduating college and like having a decent career and like doing the thing, where it was hard for me to move on from that or grow from that. And
I told people before Tori said yes, I was like, Tori's going to come work here. And they're like, oh, she said yes. I'm like, no. She hasn't. She keeps saying no. But I know that she's bigger than where she is. And she needs to know that.
And it's so funny because like, friends that I grew up with are like, oh, it makes so much sense that you live here. And that
now like, it fits so well.
Like, yeah, everybody's like, I knew you would do this. And I was like, really? Because I I thought I would too, and I did it, and I didn't think I was going to do it. And yeah.
It is, comfort can be the worst kind of handcuffs, I think. And comfort in relationship is like that too. Like the relationships that don't push you or challenge you or question you. And I'm definitely that friend who is like hurtfully honest, probably. And I so much do not want to see my people settle.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to go off of too. Like comfort can turn into settling so easy that you don't even realize it.
Yep. You don't even know that you're doing it. And I have seen in my own life when I have settled or tried to make do with something that was not the best fit or the best path, it was just like a path I could do, how it came back around and hurt me in some way or held me back in some way or ended up wasting time. And I love my people and I want the best for them, and that means telling them, no matter what you choose, I love you regardless. But I want you to analyze every single part of your life and ask yourself if that is the best thing and if that is really what you want or what the ultimate goal is for you. And I think my best relationships, my favorite relationships, are ones where we get to have thought-provoking conversations. I feel like something I really appreciate about Tori is that we talk about real stuff. And Tori has a very different perspective and a very different personality than I have. So it's a really valuable dynamic to me because we can talk about things and she has a perspective that I don't have.
Yeah, and that's the same towards you. Like it, in a way, we like ground each other because we can see both sides of something and also give a different perspective. So that's important.
It is.
To have with somebody. And if you don't, you need to.
Yes, I would say don't run away from people. From honesty.
Because I've done it.
Tori tries to do it around here.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for her, she works here. So she has to be hearing it.
And that, like, Kat has been somebody, like, I've told, like, deep, dark secrets, too. Like, there's so, like, I can't, like, there's been times where I've, like, said something to Kat, and I was like, I can't believe I said that out loud or said that to you. But it's good to say, or have somebody that you trust enough to say, like, the stuff that's really deep or really dark, or that's, like, a huge secret that weighs you down, to have somebody to, like, help you get through it or give advice on it.
Absolutely. And someone that I think that maybe like a benefit to valuing honesty is that person, like, if we both value honesty, we're not going to betray each other.
Right.
Because it's something that we both find important. So if our relationship is shallow and we don't share real things with each other and we don't talk about the things that we're afraid of or the things that we're struggling with, then that keeps everything very surface level, and we need people like each other that we can feel safe exposing the soft parts of ourselves to. Is really, like, if we are going to step outside of comfort, you need that.
Yeah, you do.
Because otherwise you're just shoving everything down. And I think we could have an entire podcast just talking about, like, intimacy and relationships and how we've grown in that. And I've definitely evolved from how I used to be a person who now it's still hard, but, like, I used to have a much harder time opening up. And I feel like with Tori, I tell her things about my relationship and my life that I think years ago, like, I wouldn't have been able to say to anybody.
Yeah, the same.
And that's a really beautiful thing, is to find a friendship.
And it's hard to find that, and
it takes years.
Yes, it does. It does.
It takes a long time to find your people.
And it's okay to have certain friends for certain things. Like, I'm at a place in my life where, like, I have friends that are my fun friends. Like, those are the friends that I go out with and enjoy. Yeah. Kat can't do that with me. Not that we don't enjoy that together as well, but
we enjoy
you're
our
not
time
somebody
together.
that I choose as a fun friend to go. And like, it's okay to have different people for different things of that.
Yeah, and different seasons
Uh-huh.
of like over a year ago, I could have been a fun friend.
Right.
I am not that. If you need that friend today, I am not the one to call. I'm up with a baby.
Mm-hmm.
That's not happening. But if you want to come have a cup of tea and talk about your issues, I can do that while I breastfeed.
Mm-hmm.
But it does take, I think, in adulthood, it is a search to find those people, which is probably, like, moral of the story here is in adulthood, it can be really hard to find your people and find your tribe, find mentors, find these friendships that inspire you to become more of the person you're supposed to be. And I would say don't give up on that search. And when you find people who you feel that spark with, who you feel like there's something about them that you do value or you like having in your life, pursue that person and go after them. Maybe even as hard as I pursued Tori until they get a restraining order. But I think when you do feel like someone could fit a role in your life, or you do feel a spark with somebody, take that seriously, like the way you would a romantic relationship.
Right.
And I think in our culture, we get taught to pursue that with like boyfriends and girlfriends.
Then it's just that one part, that spouse that's supposed to be your.
But your friends
person.
are just as important,
Yeah.
and they fill a role. And that in your one romantic partner, it's not even a realistic expectation for them to be everything to you.
Yeah. And if you do, like, you'll be disappointed. You'll get disappointed.
Right, you're setting them up for failure if you think they're going to fit
everything,
every hole in your heart.
Right.
But so I think like one thing that I've learned over the last decade is when you see a mentor who like somebody who inspires you, or somebody who you feel a connection with, or somebody who you think could be a positive role in your life, pursue that person like a romantic interest and hold on to them and dig into that.
Yeah.
And let it push you to be the version of yourself that you're supposed to be. Any other thoughts on that?
No, I think you touched on that really well.
Thanks, Tori, and thanks for joining me even though you can't breathe because my kids got you sick.
I'm like needing a call.
One of us is always sick, I think, on here too. We're just like, it's like the kids taking turns screaming, like we're taking turns not being able to breathe. For sure. That's, the joy of being here with the small children. So there it is. Thank you for listening and your feedback. And I love connecting with people who reach out, and
sweet.
It's very sweet. It's very, very sweet. If you've ever sent a message about something that spoke to you or that you connected with on here, just know that that means a lot, and that's the goal, is just creating some genuine connection and sharing things that are important to us. And I think because of the nature of our business and the people we get to be around, we spend a lot of time talking about these things, and it's nice to share it in a forum where anyone can listen and connect with us if there are people. So, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.